it's really important to identify and be familiar with, and the thought process of what we have. As we know, our mind goes a mile a minute all the time, and it's what it's supposed to do. We're supposed to have our brains going all the time, but I guess the question is how do we calm it? How do we calm our minds from taking over and being in the driver's seat? And with meditation, we can often stop that rush, that feeling of the thought process that happens. Our brains are supposed to move fast, but what we're trying to do is not respond or react to the movement of our mind. And by doing so, we become aware. If you can be aware that you are in that process of thinking, we can slow down our thought process, and we can be comfortable with where our thoughts take us. And hopefully, our thoughts won't take us to a place of fear or anxiety or worry or sadness. All of those emotions are welcome. That's who we are as human beings. So with thoughtfulness, the important part of focusing on thoughts is becoming aware that it's happening. So if you can think of a time when you were worried, anxious, feeling guilty, concerned, shame, all of those emotions are welcome, but it's what are we going to do with them without responding, reacting in a way that will take us off kilter. As you see, we're on a sailboat, and the keel keeps us afloat. It moves right to left with a storm. It moves straight ahead to go. It just keeps us in the right channels. A keel is, you can't see the keel from where we are, but we know that we are afloat with that. And with that confidence of a keel, the idea is if once we become comfortable with the thoughts are there, but they're not going to control us. What controls us is our mind. And if our mind is in control, that becomes the keel. It keeps us afloat. If you look around us, we're in a body of water, beautiful body of water. And anytime the storms can change, the clouds can change, the weather can change. But above all the clouds, above all the weather, is the calmness of blue when it's daylight. And that's where we aspire to be with our thoughts. All the thoughts are the clouds, is the water, but everything above us is our mind. And if our mind can expand and be more than who we are, if we can become more of the situation rather than that immediate moment, it will serve us to maintain the calmness. I like to think about the time where we are all sailing. All of us are beginner sailors. And we are so in the moment when our captain tells us to haul in the strings, to pull in the strings, to let out the ropes, use the crank. He uses a lot of new terms that we're learning, and it has been a lot of fun, but at the same time, we've had to really, really focus, because even though the keel keeps us afloat and in a direction, we've got to do our part. And with meditation, our part is to let everything be rather than follow and react to panic, right? Because personally, when things happen and I'm not too certain of what to do, I panic. If my mind was calm and I observed what needed to be done and how my body wanted to respond in reaction, I would be a participant in keeping us safe. I would keep us safe by being calm, by not reacting, by listening to what's needed. Sometimes we don't know what the answer is, but if we are able to rest in our calmness, thoughts won't rule direction. And I think the more we meditate, the more we give in and rest to the detachment of outcomes, we're able to keep our keel as balanced as we can, if that makes sense. Thoughtfulness is such a process because we always think, thoughtfulness is kindness, but thought, the idea of applying and recognizing what thought is liberating. And I think it's a magical power for us. It's a powerful tool to have control of our thoughts, not our thoughts control us. For a few seconds, let's just try to land where we are, listening to the sounds around us, the water, the boats. Feel the light wind that we've been blessed to have today on this summer day. Settle in 10% more than where you already are. So today we're going to be doing a body scan. And what that means is that I'll be talking to you and taking you through a meditation where it incorporates your entire body and connect with it as best as we can, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And while we meditate, you're going to be breathing in through your nose and out your mouth. Let's do that about 10 times. 10 times. So we'll inhale once and release. Another time in and out. And breathing in and letting that out. And in salt air and out. In one more time and out. Continue breathing in and out, really filling up your lungs and letting that oxygen travel through your body. Continue settling in, arriving to now. Slowly you can feel the boat rocking us gently, the wind kissing your face ever so sweetly and tenderly. the breath we need to fill our lungs and relax our shoulders. They do so much for us. We carry it. They never let us down. Just send some light to it, warmth. Move down towards your chest, the carrier of our heart and our lungs.
question. Sometimes I get the feeling like I just don't want to meditate because the thoughts in my head seem too loud or too overbearing. So then I think, well, I'm not ready to meditate. Is there a way of getting around that so that I can get into a situation where I want to do this meditation now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've always thought about how laborious meditation can be, because there's always something for me to do. There's always, you got maybe have 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I've got to do this, and that. And I think when that challenge of I want to meditate, but I just maybe a little concerned about what it'll bring up for me, or if I can do it, I think the most important thing here is you're actually aware that this is uncomfortable. When we're aware that something is uncomfortable, we take those precautions of keeping ourselves without judgment and safety. So what I mean by no judgment is that I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm just going to maybe sit for 2 minutes. And that's the beginning point. And you might want to say, I'm actually aware that I'm going to start wanting to stop because I'm uncomfortable, what thoughts might come up, or what it might bring up for me. So I think there's no perfect way to meditate, but sitting still with ourselves and allowing whatever to happen without judgment, saying, oh God, here I am again, racing off, or I'm not feeling great about it. I think the first step for meditation is to be aware that my mind's going to go, and I don't really want to do this, but I know the benefits of it. And I'm just going to sit still for 2 minutes and see what my body does. And after you do that for a couple of practices, like maybe 3 times, I feel that when you have experienced a positive association with sitting for 2 minutes, next time maybe go for 3 minutes or 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because it's that practice physiologically first to sit still and allow whatever happens within happen. But if it's only 2 minutes, that's okay too. There's this really strange, I think, way people think that they have to meditate for long, they have to sit, they have to be quiet, and they have to have good thoughts. Some really bad thoughts can come up of, man, I was really mad at this one person, or else this person took my pencil off my desk. These thoughts can happen and they're okay. So if you let them sit for 2 minutes, you're allowing yourself just to be without responding and reacting and without judgment. Any other questions?
As a beginner, is there a better position to sit, or stand, or lay down? Or?
There's any position that's comfortable, that is not distracting. Obviously you want some form of balance, so you don't have to focus on balancing all the time. I've seen people sit in chairs because their back's too painful or their legs are too painful. I've seen people sit back on a kneeling meditation stool. Our scan meditation is a really comfortable way. I think the only hard part sometimes is we fall asleep and we realize that our meditation. But if you sleep, you sleep. That's okay too. There's never, one beautiful thing I'm learning is there's no one right way to meditate. If we can sit still with our thoughts, that in itself is such a good practice, because there's not an outcome that we're expecting. It's just sitting with ourselves, which is fearful for many. But if we can just sit or stand or lay down in calmness and breathing and be really present, that in itself is a really great start to meditation.
I'm wondering, when I'm meditating, trying to clear my thoughts, sometimes I get emotions. So they're not really thoughts, or are they thoughts? And what can I do to tame the emotions while I'm in that state, trying to be peaceful?
You know what? I think a word I heard, which is almost restrictive, is taming your thoughts. Thoughts are thoughts. That's all they are. If we took out the having those thoughts and you really want to be peaceful, try allowing them to be and become the witness of yourself having the thoughts. So if I really want to flip my finger off to the driver that's with me, I can say, wow, I am so angry. I want to lay the horn on. And I go, okay, and my outside person, my witness is saying, okay, Espo, you're really, Marianne, you're really mad. You want to flip the bird. I can see that, and that's okay. But you're not going to react that way because that hurts you and it hurts the other person that's in there. And they always say, Buddhists will say, now they have two arrows. The first arrow you throw at your person or your anger or your situation. And the second arrow that we throw is back to ourselves, because it doesn't ever serve us when we are really hard with ourselves. And so when we say taming our thoughts, it's like taming our thoughts is more of observing them, witnessing them, allowing them to be, but not to react and not to have judgment. Thank you.
When you're in or trying to meditate and your thoughts are coming, how do you get yourself back into the meditation?
Oh, that's a great question. So there was a method that I didn't actually, maybe I did use it, but maybe I didn't really clarify it. So when we meditate, I think I said find a spot on your body. So like for me, I'll always have the spot on my body in my chest, and that's called the anchor. So when I'm meditating and I am in my present body and my thought process, but then I can always see my mind going this way, I automatically go to my anchored spot, my chest. That's where my anchor. Some people have in their hips or their stomach, and you breathe into your anchored spot and you, okay, right, I'll breathe again, and I will bring myself present to meditate and just allow it to be, because I can go on and think about it, and that's okay. And they've often said it's kind of like, if you've had a puppy and it runs away, and you just scoop it back. Come on back. You bring it back. We don't admonish it. We don't admonish ourselves. We don't judge ourselves. Let's bring our thoughts back and feel breathing again. And that's why breath is so important, because that is our natural anchor. We did that the moment we came to this earth, and that's the last thing we'll do when we pass. So our breath is a really precious and powerful mark that we have that brings us to back where we are. So think about anchoring a part in your body when you start meditating. As soon as you start going off, bring it right back like a little puppy and say, we want to stay here. Let's just be present for 30 more seconds. And that way it's really gentle, and it's a good reminder. Just keep on doing your practice, and you'll find that with more practice it just extends more and more and more. One more question, anyone?
Maya? Yeah.
Would you, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you do that with noises that come around? And
Yeah.
there's all sorts of different
Right.
noises, and we seem to, I get drawn to the noise,
Yeah.
but then I have to draw myself. So I suppose you would use the anchor.
The anchor, exactly like when that plane came over.
Yeah.
I included it, right?
Yes.
So I included that in our meditation because everything belongs. Like, and I think when we try to turn the lights off, shut the door, right? What is it? A true master is not a monk on top of the mountain quiet. A true master is when you keep that peace and that calmness in chaos. So babies crying, people are yelling, things are honking at you, and etc. But you can still, like our conversation was, is stay centered with that heel and bring ourselves back. Oh yeah, everything belongs, but I'm still centered, and that plane's going overhead, and I actually, what I like to do when I'm on that verge of like, oh man, I'm gonna lose it, everything's so busy, I say, well, I hope that car that's honking, and I hope they have a good day. When there's an angry teacher or some student, I'll say, wow, you look like you're having a hard day. Bless you. I hope you have a good day. And that way that brings me back again centered, rather than go, man, they're being so mean and they're being really obnoxious. It's like, you're having a hard day. Something's going on for you. It's none of my business, but I wish you well. I wish anything, any story, any